Today I'm going to tell you an interesting story about the life of St. Peter of Verona. St. Peter was a Dominican priest who was martyred and is also the patron saint of the Dominican order. He was born in 1205 in the city of Verona, Italy. His family was a strong follower of the Cathar heresy. It was a religious movement that rejected many teachings of the Catholic Church. But ironically, from a young age, Peter showed a surprising devotion to Catholic truth. When he was just 7 years old, he heard for the first time the Apostles' Creed from a Catholic teacher. It struck his heart so deeply that it would shape the rest of his life. As he grew older, his devotion only deepened. Despite the influence of his heretical relatives, Peter remained loyal to the Church. At 15, he left home to study at the University of Bologna, and while there, he encountered the Dominicans, the order of preachers founded by Saint Dominic. Their passion for truth and preaching drew him in. By the age of 16, Peter joined the Dominican order and was later ordained a priest. He then quickly became known as a brilliant preacher and theologian, where he preached tirelessly in northern Italy to defend the Catholic faith against heresies. One day, while he was preaching in a vast crowd under a burning sun, the heretics challenged him to provide shade for his listeners. St. Peter prayed, and suddenly a miracle happened. A thick cloud hovered above the crowd, casting shade over them, and the cloud remained still until his preaching came to an end. This miracle is famously called the miracle of the clouds. People were moved not only by what he said, but by the way he lived, simply, humbly, and completely devoted to truth. However, his success gave him numerous enemies. The heretical groups he opposed saw him as a major threat. In 1251, he was appointed by the Pope as the head inquisitor of Lombardy. This gave him power to investigate the heretics, which made his enemies more furious about him. On April 6, 1252, while on a journey to Milan, he was ambushed by two hired assassins, one of whom was a former Catharian. As he walked along the forest road, one of the men struck him on the head with an axe, knocking him down to the ground. As he lay bleeding, Peter dipped his finger on his paddled blood and wrote on the ground, "Credo in Deum," which meant, "I believe in God." Then the assassin struck him again, where he died as a martyr at the age of 47 years old. Later, Christian artists often depicted him as Dominican priest with an axe on his head, which tells the story about how he was martyred. After his death, his body was buried in a Dominican church called Sant'Eustorgio in Milan, where it still remains today. Then his martyrdom story spread all over the town, and people flocked to his tomb for prayer and were granted. 11 months after his death, St. Peter was canonized as a saint by Pope Innocent IV, which made him one of the fastest canonizations in church history. Today he is venerated as the patron saint of the Dominican order, and his feast day is celebrated every 29th of April. If you like stories like this, support us, follow, like, and subscribe.